the hill. Quite an amazing noise. Meanwhile, the sun's come out. And so have the slightly more hopeless competitors. Go away, go away. The cameraman's job is not always an easy one either, as you can clearly see. Don't worry, somebody will have a better attempt later. There's an Austrian wave, and here comes the MUZ Bagheera. 600cc. Oof! Oh, must have felt like about 600 pounds falling on top of him there as well. Now, the little two-strokes are much better option. See, he gets further than that just on a little Kawasaki. And it probably doesn't hurt so much when it bumps you either. Woof! Now, that's an excellent example of the 130-meter lip. It suddenly gets very, very steep there. Just when you've got used to the gradient of the main part of the hill, there's a massive incline. And there he goes again. Riding up the edge of the course doesn't help either, it has to be said. Nor does the throttle jamming wide open on the way down. But they love it all the same. Now, obviously, in a situation where keeping the front wheel on the ground is a problem, the best thing to do is get your mate to sit on the back and therefore heighten the propensity for wheeling. The idea was to gain added grip on the BMW, but quite frankly, he might as well have thrown the bike away and just carried his mate up. Whoa! A sustained effort on the cameraman. And the Austrian Devils out to slay our crew, failing on that effort. Oh my goodness me! Now, I admit I have seen that before, and it still makes me squirm in my seat. Watch it. Oof. Oh, dear, oh dear. And he lands from about 30 feet up in the air as well. As if he wasn't having enough trouble in the trouserage department with the way the bike was hitting him. Oh, the barbecues have started, look. The natives are restless. Oof. Now, various different machines have their own special handling characteristics, and with Kawasaki it's that, a propensity to head for the bushes at any given opportunity this season. Picks up the cable on the way down, so that'll save the marshals a little bit of effort. And another one. Now, he really should have let go of that earlier, and then it wouldn't have hurt his leg. Christian Staudigl, look out, here it comes. Well, that was his KTM making a bid there for the most spectacular crash of the day. And I think, as we see the replay here, it might well be awarded to him. Up it goes. Yes, very fast footwork. And now just look at that. No wonder all the manufacturers come here with trucks load of spares and an empty till and go home with empty trucks and a full till. Believe me, the campsites at Silverstone at the British Grand Prix make it pale into insignificance. Still, at least they have early morning milk from the cow. Look, here's scenery. This is Sunday morning, and look, there it is the night before. Spot the difference? Yes, so did the sponsors. It's a sponsored event for the first time, and Red Bull were very disappointed that somebody nicked off with the inflatable arch during the course of the night. Of course, it'll be very easy to put up in your bedroom without anybody noticing. Still, there you go. Right, away we go, Sunday morning, and 100 competitors have been eliminated, either by A, not being very good on their motorcycles, B, not having a suitable costume, or C, just being too drunk to get back on the machinery in the morning. So away they go. This is former Enduro champion Thomas Bieberbach. And he's one of those expected to actually perform quite well. But the course very slick after the overnight rain, and he only makes 123 meters, which is 100 more than this bloke does, at least. And here comes the Red Baron. Look out. Well, now here comes Freddy Brandner again. I'm afraid the half track is only half cocked this morning. It heads off into the boonies with him. Here's a different approach. Just getting spat straight off. That really is the classic style here at Rachau, and gets the appreciation it truly deserves. Now here's something we haven't seen before, a trials bike. They're used to climbing up sheer surfaces and sheer walls. Of course, they're not normally this slippery, and traction is proving a problem. Not as much of a problem, I would have thought, as putting your foot down and keeping the throttle wide open turned out to be. Oh, I thought he was going to give us a flash then. Here we go with the 1100 Kawasaki, now with its slightly shortened wheelbase, moderately extended, although I don't think it's doing very much for the steering. Oh, staying on would have been such a good move right at the start there. Oh dear, and he breaks his leg as well. Oh, nearly. So here we go, now this is the way to do it. One on the front for extra grip, one on the back for extra drive, and one in the middle as spare weight, just in case the others fall and they need something heavy to land on them. Well, it must have been a good idea over several beers last night. Now, another first here, Gunther Geyer with jet-assisted takeoff. The rocket really working well for him here. As you can see, though, misfiring appallingly up the slope. Dreadful, dreadful bad luck. Well, I'm afraid he'll never challenge Richard Noble's land speed record attempt like that. And the physics just too much for him now, I'm afraid. Oh, fut, it all went. But here comes Stefan Roma, the Red Baron. See the neat way he's got the wings held on with two toilet seats there. Superb piece of construction. But I'm afraid today, crosswinds just getting the better of him. And let's look at it again from the uphill section. Now, he's doing all right until there. You see, wingtip hits the ground, off it goes. A classic air accident investigator's problem there. So he really needs to shorten those wings. 5, 6, maybe 7 of them in a stack, but only half the width. I'm sure that would do it. This is Johannes Schudel, the horned devil of the Styrenian Mountains. The fruit and nut cake, if you ask me. That is an example, I believe, of the renowned Austrian sense of humour. Now, intimations that I may have made in earlier programmes, and indeed in earlier Rachau hill climbs, the Austrians have no sense of humour. I wholeheartedly withdraw. The Austrian embassy have no need to phone up and complain this evening. Certainly no more jokes about Austrians at all. Unless, of course, I deem them necessary. So the Kawasaki's still heading for the undergrowth. Now Karl Schmidinger still heading for the top of the hill. His hometown of Mölln has a similar hill climb, which he wins year in, year out. And he's always been right up near the top here as well. Makes 133 meters as another Kawasaki heads off into the heather. Now just trace the trajectory here. What a fine launch there. What a fine launch. Photographer deciding just in time to get the hell out of it as well. Now, after that spectacular example, I'm afraid this comes as rather a disappointment. Still, I expect his mother loves him. Doesn't even get a ripple from the crowd. They're demanding more, you see. They're a very knowledgeable crowd, and if you're going to hurt yourself or spit the bike out, then they want you to do it properly. So, a half-hearted effort. Oh dear, let go, let go, let go! Yes, it will snap your arms if you let them go backwards like that. Manfred Kainz then, the record holder. Honda, he's riding with a Yamaha flag. Slightly confused man, clearly. Yes, he's Austrian. but he doesn't do too well, I'm afraid. Nowhere close to Schmidinger's distance. And here we go with Frederick Brandner again, the half-track, half-cut, half-baked. Oh dear, and only half the number of revs he really needs. That's it, change down a gear, give it a big bootful, and stay away from the banners. No, that wasn't very good. No cheers for him. But plenty of cheers there from his engine builder, because that'll need to go back for straightening once it seizes for itself. Oh dear. Now this is very nearly 12 foot long. It weighs over 200 kilos. That's two good-sized adults, and it has a 1600cc Harley engine. Why didn't he just buy a JCB if he wanted to dig a big hole in the ground? Because he's Austrian. Anyway, here we go then with the king of the fetish wear. Clearly a man who enjoys rubber and gas masks. And falling onto rocky slopes. Perhaps he's just trying to avoid the noxious smells that he produces when it all goes a bit Pete Tong, as it seems to be going here. You can almost hear this. Oh yes, you can almost hear the sound effects there, can't you? Luckily he's got the gas mask on to deal with the smells. But unfortunately, that was the only injury of the event. Falling down the rocks there, he did break his arm. Narrowly avoided injury there in that little aerobatic moment there, hanging onto the wires. And he is going to do his level best to stay in touch with his bike. He's seen how they get broken as they bounce down the hill, and it's not going to happen to him. Yeah. Revs there, I think. Definitely needed some revs. Not going to get very far once it's stalled. So that's the My Mum school of driving. No revs up the hill in top gear, and then howl the nuts off on the way down. He just hasn't had lesson two. Marcus Rauschmeier, and just look at the way that the front wheel is not even remotely level. It's got negative camber. I mean, how can you do that with one wheel? Clearly the tree wasn't leaning up straight. And sadly, that 1100cc of Kawasaki engine is probably now only about 400cc of bent metal componentry, so fairly expensive way of destroying the machine. Walter Schudel ran very well last year, ran very well in the eliminations, and he is having a serious effort. That's the lip at 130. He gets just beyond it, 135 meters, and in these conditions, that will be good enough for third overall. Last year's winner, Manfred Kainz, the record holder with 158 meters, managed 152 in the eliminations on Saturday. And that will have to stand as his best run. That's 136, 1 meter more than Walter Schudel to put him into the lead. And Stefan Römer setting out to look for more Sopwith camels halfway up the hill. Oh dear, again it's the wing width. Handled it that time, but oh no, dreadful tail snap. No, don't forget the bike, it's still above you. Too busy saluting the crowd, very nearly got biffed in the head. 94 meters though, excellent for 5th place, and top spotting in the special category. Special presumably being Austrian in this case for barking insanity. Notice somebody's trilby there halfway up the course, not quite sure how that got there. Now there's a more typical Austrian mountain man's hat, as sported by Hans Heyer all these years. And there goes the Red Baron's machine. Now, it's not often you find a helmet that's such a good fit there. You see he's managed to get one that goes on over his antlers and fits him perfectly. And the nice fluffy carpet on it as well, particularly attractive, and it must be marvellously easy to keep clean, that machine, I would have thought. Now, there was a sensible effort. Ouya, I think he said, probably on the way back down there. Here we go again. trying to keep the front on the ground, but unfortunately, all that weight makes it very hard to steer. Peter Ziffer-Dunsinghoever, just when everybody thought it was all done and dusted, came along to reshuffle the order. 141 to 3 meters. So he wins it, and for the third year of the Rachau hill climb, an Austrian wins the event. Next year the event will change. The organisers hope to encourage the specials and the costumes by offering more and more money for the barking mad. They want the Rachau hill climb to become, I'm quoting here, to become the most insane hill climb in the world, like it's not already. But that'll all be for 1998. Well, there for me is the position I would least like to be in the Rachau hill climb. And here are some of the top get-offs of the top get-off competition of all time. The Rachau hill climb will hopefully be back in 1998. Bigger, badder, better, and more barking.